So what would you tell someone to tell themselves if they are in their mom's basement right now, symbolically?
Bet on yourself. The only way out is in. You have to become something greater. You have to ask God, what am I doing? What do I need to become to receive the blessings that you have for me? What is the gift that you gave me that I'm squandering by playing small?
Welcome to Unreasonable Autonomy. My name is Sarah Grace. This is the podcast for entrepreneurs and innovators who refuse to settle. Here we dive deep into raw, real conversations with boundary pushers who have pursued seemingly impossible ideas and yet have achieved unreasonable results, whether that's in their faith, relationships, health, politics, yes, even business. All of those conversations are happening right here, right now. So let's buckle up because this isn't about playing it safe. Unreasonable ideas, unstoppable results. Let's go. Thrilled to be welcoming a dear friend to the podcast, Kevin Jacobson Jr. Kevin Jacobson Jr. is the co-founder of Leverage AI, where he helps businesses boost revenue by replacing outdated sales systems with custom-built AI sales infrastructure. No extra leads or reps required. With a background in leading high-performance sales teams, Kevin now focuses on building voice and chat AI tools that convert around the clock. He also co-hosts the Entrepreneurship Sucks podcast, where he shares raw, real conversations from the trenches of business. At the core of his work is one goal: helping entrepreneurs leverage AI to scale smarter, not harder. Welcome, Kevin Jacobson Jr. Let's get talking. You guys, welcome back to the podcast. Welcome to the only person on earth that is allowed to call me a hobbit. Welcome to the amazing Kevin Jacobson. How are you, Kevin? It's good to see you today.
I'm great. I'm happy to be here. I missed you.
You know, there is something so exciting about looking forward to an interview with someone that you have such experience with, right? Kevin and I, we've been in the same mastermind for over a year. We have seen our businesses tank and blow up in that year of being in the same mastermind. So there is going to really be nothing held back. And for those of you who are new to the world of Kevin Jacobson, okay, we also have interviewed his partner, which is Joshua. You can look back and look at his episode as well. But they are the brilliant minds behind Leverage AI, right? They are also someone who, they are people who really, really love to be real. Right? Just very real people. But that often can be misunderstood as being, you know, we're crazy or we're loudmouthed or something like that. And what I have found from both of you is that you are both so kind. You have been some of the kindest, very specifically male people that I have met in the industry to me, as far as cheering me on, supporting me, referring me, like all these kinds of things. Like there is an absolute depth to your kindness that I am so grateful for. So thank you for being kind and thank you for being in the room.
Only 30 seconds in, you're going to have me crying. Come on, Sarah. Let's kind of keep some cadence going here.
Well, I'm grateful. And this is my podcast, so I get to say whatever, however I want. Well, and I just want to dive in really quickly. Like, have you always been considered a kind person? If I were to ask people that know you, are you a kind person?
Yeah, I literally have been called most of my life the nicest you'll ever meet.
Really?
Yes.
Well, now we just found the title for the podcast. Here we go.
Yeah.
Well, I love it so much. And I want to really dive deep into you about your world and
I'll curb my swearing. I know this is your platform, so I want to be mindful. I don't want to swear if you don't want me to.
You know, it'll be bleeped out, but people can certainly try and guess what you're saying. So you get to decide what that sounds like. Cool. But really, I do stand behind your kindness. I've spent tens, if not hundreds of hours with you, either in a virtual room or a real room. And that kindness, that soul of yours is so needed in the world, especially in the world of entrepreneurship. So, but for those people who are not familiar with you, can you just set the stage for us on where you started, where you came from, how Leverage AI is going right now, just so people know exactly where we're coming from? I'm going to turn it to you.
Sure, yeah. So, Joshua and I, we met about 3 years ago. I have like 23 years sales experience. ran my own e-commerce business, did the entrepreneurial thing. And then my wife got pregnant with twins 6 years ago, a little over 6 years ago. And I shut down the e-commerce business right before COVID, went back to sales, remote sales. And then ultimately that's how I met Joshua. He hired me as his closer. We ran a 7-figure sales team together. And the biggest issue that we were facing with us and hundreds of clients that we had was human appointment setters. And so ultimately that's how leverage was like born, right? Is solving an entrepreneurial issue, right? It was our own problem that we were trying to solve internally. And we quickly realized that like, this is a business, like this is valuable. And this was like way before ChatGPT, but we can get into all that stuff. But that's the brief overview. We got into AI in like February of 2023, way before anybody was even thinking about AI on a mass adoption level.
Yeah. And what is it about? Why did you decide to go into the world of AI? Was that like, I'm passionate about this? Is this, I'm a trend person? Like, what was it that wholeheartedly?
Yeah. So there's two really quick answers to that. Is when I was born again, when my daughters were born, the church that we were going to, they brought in a prophet. And I've always kind of known this about myself. It's always been like a God-given gift, but they brought in a prophet. And, you know, there's thousands of people in this church at the time. And he just was drawn to me immediately, prophesied over me and told me that I am a seer. And so, and that just kind of validated what, you know, I was already in my 30s. I had already been successful with seeing trends 3 to 5 years before most people, right? In a lot of different ways, right? And so that really just like solidified it for me and made me realize like, this is the gift that God has given me. And this is my vehicle to be his vassal, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, while we were running the sales team, and it wasn't actually my first, it's so crazy how like things kind of came full circle, because my first entrepreneurial venture was dealing with automation, like bots, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is back in like 2014. And it was creating Instagram automation bots to go and like, comment. Like I grew my e-commerce business to the top 1% of all Shopify stores in the world, like right up there with like Kylie Jenner's store and stuff. And it was all through Instagram, like organic and influencer marketing. And a lot of that was due to automation, but a lot of it was due to what we're learning now together is building an 8-figure network. So this is my second time building an 8-figure network.
Oh my word.
I did it first in the Instagram world. And you know, 8 figures in the Instagram world is followers, not dollars. Right.
Right. And tell me a little bit about the courage to abandon an incredibly successful Shopify store. You said your twins were born. I'm hearing 3 things. The twins were born, you were born again, and you ditched the e-com business. What was happening in your world then?
And my grandmother went into the hospital, and I spent 62 days in the hospital without leaving with her. Like I literally sat by her side. I showered in the shower in the hospital room. I did not leave. I wouldn't let her leave my sight until she went home, because I knew that she was going to die if I left.
And she did pass away.
She's still here.
Oh my gosh.
I saved her life. Like they sent her home undiagnosed. So what happened was, and I'll be quick about it. All of a sudden, at the peak of my Shopify store, we're doing upwards of $100,000 a month. And she went from being her regular self at my house on Thanksgiving to Christmas, kind of being a little off. And then like within a course of 2 weeks, it was like this exponential, like rapid onsetting dementia. And nobody could figure out what was going on. And she literally was, she was dying in my presence. Like she was lucid. She wasn't there with me, but she was talking to me. And I'm talking her through, like, I'm like, what's going on? Where, like, she's like, I'm at this party. She's like, they won't let Donald in. Donald's my grandfather. They won't let Donald in with me. I'm like, what are you talking about? Where are you? She's like, I don't know. It's this beautiful white house, like, da, da, da. And she's like, he keeps on asking me to come in, but he says that Donald can't come yet. And wow. And so I'm like, you don't need to go in. I'm like, just come back, like, stay with us. You don't need to go in right now. It's not time. And she's like, it really looks really nice in there. And, everybody's having a great time. She's like, but she's describing to me off to the left is this like beautiful, like family, heartwarming, like wholesome dinner party. But then off to the right is something completely different, the complete opposite. And she's like, I don't want to go in there because what they're doing over there. And I'm like, all right, yeah, just come on back. And she's like, well, she's this man, Pete, he's so nice. She's like, I'm just going to go in for a little while and just see what's going on in there. St. Peter, this man, Pete, he's so nice. I'm
this
like,
man, Pete.
Yeah.
Oh my word, Kevin. Oh my word.
Yeah.
So you're obviously very clear that she's having some sort of angelic, not even hallucinatory, but angelic experience facing death in that moment.
The veil between this reality and heaven, hell, whatever, was thinned out. She was on her way. I don't know if this is like, but.
Well, tell me.
So she was.
At that period of your life, were you a spiritual person? Like, I know you said you were born again through this experience.
I was on a spiritual journey. So my grandmother growing up, my mother struggled with alcohol most of my life. She just passed last year from it, actually. So I spent weekends at my grandmother's house. We were very close. She was like a second mother to me, if not more so, right? Yeah. I always say that my mother was a great mom, but she wasn't a very good mother, right? And I think there's a big difference between being a good mom and being a good mother, right? Mother is like, raising children, and mom is like loving, nurturing, making them feel, loved, right? My mom was a very loving person, loved unconditionally, but she wasn't a very good parent, right?
Okay.
And so, so my grandmother, she would read. She taught me how to read by the time I was 3, and we always prayed before I went to bed on the weekends. And, I would say my prayers at home every night before bed up until, I was like maybe 9, 10, 11 years old when my brothers were born. And then, the attention just wasn't on me anymore. And I just kind of started becoming kind of a ghost in the house for the rest of my teenage years. But anyway, so I was on a spiritual journey, just like the whole, like, it started as like just conspiracy theories on Instagram, and then like just looking for truth, and then going down a rabbit hole of discovering, knowledge and information of different religions and, things like that. And ultimately, once, my grandmother had gone into the hospital, and, God really helped me save her life. Like, they couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. They did every test possible. The only test that they didn't do, my grandmother grew up one of the youngest of 13 children. Our father was a trucker, and her mom was just a stay-at-home mom. And so they didn't have a lot of money. There were lots of abuse, just beating and like just being verbal abuse and beating, right? Like if, back then, if you did something wrong, you got whipped, right? And so like her punishments would be like, they didn't have, it was just like a dirt basement, and it's like, there's no lights down there or anything. And so if she like, didn't come home right after school, she'd have to go in the basement with the rats in the dark. Like that was her punishment. You're grounded, like literally grounded in the basement. Right. And so like, she has this deep seated fear of like feeling unsafe when she isn't in control. Right. And so, And so when the ambulance came and took her, when it first like hit its peak and she had to go to the hospital, I obviously wasn't there. My grandfather was like, oh, I got to take care of the dog. I'll come. It was middle of the night. I'll come first thing in the morning. So she was alone. And so that night, her first night there she's very combative, and she's a big woman. She's strong. She's like, it took like the biggest orderlies in there to even hold her down to put the IV in her arm. And so the only test that they didn't want to do because of fear of her fighting back was a spinal culture.
Yeah.
And so finally, it was like 2 days after her being there, I realized how serious it was. And I'm like, well, this is why God gave me this business, to have the freedom to be able to come and be with her, because no one else can. My grandfather was still working at the time. nobody else could stay with her. And I knew that every minute that she was alone, she was in like absolute panic, fight or flight, fear for her life. Because that's just, how she is.
Yeah. Well, and I'm trying to imagine you in this space of like, I've built this successful thing. I am so grateful for the freedom that I have to be able to be with her. I understand that it matters. What was your feeling towards those who were not showing up for her in that moment?
It changed my perspective on a few people for sure.
And maybe the better, instead of throwing other people under the bus specifically, but what did it make you want to more so become in that moment?
Well, in that moment, it was more so in my mind, I'm like, I could build another business. I can't build another grandmother. So that's it. That's the choice I'm making. I'm here until she's back home. And it ended up being like 64 days.
Wow.
62 or 64 days.
And is this part of your deep-seated idea of like, I want to be able to be gone for 64 days and not lose what I've built? Is this why you leaned into the world of AI and things?
No, not really. I think the AI stuff just like, honestly, I feel like God just put it in front of me. Like this is always was supposed to be my journey, right? Like if you look at the sequence of events of shutting down the e-commerce business, like losing everything on it because of it, like condo of 7 years lost, like living with family during COVID, wife's pregnant with twins, like sleeping on couches at my mother's father's houses, trying to build another business, trying to figure out what I'm going to do, how I'm going to get out of this. Like it's similar to Josh's story. Like how did I end up here in, my mother-in-law's basement on Christmas with $8,000 to my name? But mine was like 10 times worse. It was like, how did I end up like me, my wife, pregnant with twins and our, at the time, 9-year-old son, all sleeping in my mother's living room floor in an apartment that is smaller than the condo that the three of us shared just a couple months ago.
Well, and I would love to crack the code on what allows people like you and like Josh and like Alex Hermozzi. He had a very similar, story that it was really rock bottom. What is the difference between people like you and Josh and Alex being able to break out of that mother's apartment or mother's basement or whatever symbolically that means for you versus someone where it just becomes the failure that determines the rest of their life? What is so different about you? What is so different about Alex? Because your story is not the common one. Where you make it out.
I think there's two parts to it. There's what's in me, which is unwavering faith. Like if there was one song that could chalk up who I am, it's Kanye Can't Tell Me Nothing. Like I won't pretend to know anything that I don't know. I am all ears for information. I'm a sponge for knowledge and information. Yeah. But if I know something, so really what it comes down to is faith. Because what is faith? Faith is knowing without being able to touch it. Yeah. Being like if your five senses can't perceive it, but you still know it, that's unwavering faith.
So what would you tell someone to tell themselves if they are in their mom's basement right now, symbolically?
Bet on yourself.
The
only way out is in. You have to become something greater. You have to ask God, what am I doing? What do I need to become to receive the blessings that you have for me? What is the gift that you gave me that I'm squandering by playing small?
And what would you say your answer to that is? What is the gift that he gave you that you played small for far too long?
I think that I'm blessed to have been given a lot of gifts, honestly. I think that I've been given the gift of excellent communication.
Yeah.
And just like, because of alcoholism and trauma, like when you grow up with an alcoholic parent, one of the main character traits that you take on is anticipating 10 steps ahead to avoid problems, right? So when you combine that with somebody that has unwavering belief in themselves, they don't shrink inward. They just become so outwardly focused and driven. But I can see 10 miles ahead whereas most people are only trying to make sure they don't trip.
Yeah, this is fascinating because I got to meet your wife literally a couple of minutes before we went live, right? We're both like small blonde people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we were talking a little bit, and I was so impressed by your compatibility, right? And I thought a lot about, okay, so that
another gift that God gave me.
Oh, that's sweet.
So the day I met her, the day I saw her, I went home and I told my grandmother I met my wife. She's like, "You're crazy. What is wrong with you?" She's like, "You are 15 years old." I said, "Okay."
No, that is not a true story.
That is absolutely a true story. She'll be 40 on April 4th. She was 14 years old the moment I saw her.
Gosh, so you really do have this kind of seer in you, this ability to see ahead. And that was my question is, what did you see so early on with her that you knew she was yours for life? Like the right partner. I don't mean possessively. Just yours for life. How did you know?
I have no idea. I literally have no idea. She walked in the room and something spoke to me. We were in homeroom freshman year. It was a new high school because I'm from one town, she's from another town, but we both went to a technical high school. So as freshmen, we were meeting a bunch of new people from different towns for the first time, and in our freshman year. And I don't know, the moment I saw her, and she's beautiful, and she's always been beautiful. But I mean, back then she was pale, pimply with braces. She wasn't the best looking girl in the room, I'll tell you that. So it had nothing to do with that.
But you knew.
Yeah.
But you knew. And as you look back, I mean, how many years have you been married now?
We've been married we got married in 2010. So we've been married for 15 years. It'll be 15 years on October 12th. But we've been together since we were 17. So what, 23 years?
Incredible. So in, 15 to 23 years together with her, you obviously don't know all the nuances of someone, even in those first 2 years of dating.
Oh, luckily, there's another gift God gave me. We were best friends for 3 years before we even started dating. So, and the whole thing was like, she's like, "Why do you want to be with me?" She's like, "You literally," and I say this in the most humble way possible. She's like, "You literally can have any girl in this school. Why me?" And I'm like, "That's why."
That's why.
Yeah.
I love that. And what is something about her that now 15 years later, 23 years later, you realize you hit the jackpot on that you didn't really realize it back then? What is something about it?
When I started my entrepreneurial journey was when I realized like how dedicated and like how like now that she loves Layla Hermosi's content, like I realize like how much like we are that model, right? Like she will like at our worst, we went from making $100,000 a month to being on food stamps, sleeping on a mattress on my mother's living room floor, and she barely changed the way that she acted towards me.
Wow.
The only thing that changed was the intensity of motivation and what's the word I'm looking for? Just how much she was pouring into me to make sure that I knew that this wasn't it. Like, just being that much more supportive, like mentally and emotionally was
okay.
Really
I actually have a question about this big time, because this is a different tone than is typically taken with this idea. When we were both at Funnel Hacking Live this past year, and there were a number of speakers on the stage that were talking about their basement moment, right? And they were talking about the impact of the spouse in that moment. And every single one, in fact, these 3 speakers I'm thinking of specifically, were saying that basically their spouse called them out. Like, get off your rear end, fix this. This isn't the life that I signed up for. And that was what triggered this huge change. And as a woman, she's a woman, you're not a woman, but as a woman, sometimes I'm like, that isn't how I would approach it. And that's actually not how you're talking about it. You're talking about her pouring into you. What was that dynamic like for you?
So I'll tell you this. She is an April 4th Aries, which is out of the 365 days of the year. Obviously, Aries is already the god of war, but April 4th is the pinnacle of that, right? So she is the
Wow.
Most fire of all the 365 days of the year. And she's only 4'11 and a half, 120 pounds.
Yep. Yep.
And so she doesn't mince words, but she's, she's very good at, like, she has a way of, like, supporting me and calling me out all in the same sentence. And she knows me better than I know myself. And she knows how hard I am on myself, how, like, the level of accountability and, and just the standard of excellence that I strive to hold myself to, no matter what level I achieve. Like, this life is about growth. So I don't care how, like, what level I get to, like, financially, spiritually, whatever, like, there's another level. And I'm always going to keep pushing to that level. No matter if I bounce back 10 levels, I'm going to go back. I'm going to get back up. Right. So yeah, she just really knows how to speak to me in a way that resonates and doesn't trigger. Well, yeah, she triggers me, but we're such good friends. Like, even when we fight, we end up laughing at each other when we're mad. It's like, okay, calm down.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, and she was talking about how you'd been out of town and she hadn't laughed for 4 or 5 days. And I thought, what a cool dynamic that there is so much fun there. And yet you are in a very serious, high pressure, intense type of portion of your entrepreneurship right now. I'm fully aware of it.
A very, very, very important lesson I learned is that when it comes to, like, how the universe works and everything, is like, if you can approach everything with, like, the playfulness of a child and take nothing seriously, then, but still be diligent and, disciplined and consistent and structured and whatever, but, like, don't be rigid. Right. And so, like, I got a very busy day today. Like, I'm kind of tired, but I woke up this morning and I just, like, jumped out of bed, and she's, like, running down in the basement doing laundry, and I'm, like, flicking the lights. I'm like, living la vida loca, like, just bothering her. And she's like, you are so annoying. She's like, why are you singing that?
I kind of love it. I kind of love just the chill out, even though we're literally trying to change the world right now, right? Like, chill out. It's fine. Yeah. It's all fine. It's not so
laugh
serious.
in the face of danger.
Oh, that is from Lion King. I swear. Is that from Lion King?
I think so, maybe.
I laugh in the face of danger. I love it so much.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think it is. I know. I'm like, you can tell I have kids. It's great. So tell me a little bit.
Tissue. I'm sorry. You made me cry, and now I'm like, oh, sorry.
You're great.
Oh.
You're brilliant. You're good. I'll get a bev too. I'm a little bit fascinated to hear of this is such a pivot, so just go with me. I am fascinated with all of your kindness and how strong your marriage is, and actually how integrity driven your business is, right? Like, I have sat there, I've watched your presentations, I've helped with those, I've seen how you guys interact, I've seen how you handle clients and commitment, all those things, and yet you have this admiration for Kanye West. What in the world is happening? Like, bring me home on this.
So it's funny because
it is funny.
He's trolling the whole world. He's not serious.
Just talk to me. I don't understand this.
He's a master of attention.
True.
And he knows that bad news travels 10 times faster than good news. And he is a master at balance, right? So the pendulum swings. Here's what he understands. The further the pendulum swings in the negative direction, the further the bandwidth allows for the pendulum to swing in the positive direction. I don't know what's worse than what's going on right now. Believe me, and mind you, like, in no way am I, like, saying I'm going to order a Yeezy swastika shirt. And also, mind you, if you are smart enough or you do your due diligence, you know that swastika is actually a symbol of peace and love. But the point is, that's not how he's using it, because he's a master of attention. And you have to understand that he strategically got himself out of his deal with Adidas because of how much it was going to cost to take them to court. They were going to, like, the amount of money that it would have taken to actually go through the legal process with a behemoth like Adidas, and the risk of losing versus I can just act like an ass and get myself fired. That sounds like a lot cheaper and a lot easier.
Mm.
He's not an idiot. He's a very intelligent person.
Right. Maybe not
And
like
he's trolling
morally
all of you.
pressured in the
No.
way that we want to be
So
excited
that's the
about.
thing. That's the thing. And mind you, like I said, I am not condoning, like, he has taken trolling to a level that I don't think we'll ever see again, and I don't think we've ever seen before.
Yeah.
But I will say, in his mind, this is not chaos. This is not insanity. This is strategic planning for what he's trying to accomplish.
There's such a lesson in this because you are not like him. And maybe I don't know you well enough, but something I deeply admire about you is the fact that you know when to observe and you know when to like lead and speak out and model, right?
Yeah.
And so that is something I deeply admire about how you treat your, whatever you want to call it, your watchful eye over Kanye, that you can observe what's going on, but I don't see you model his aggressiveness.
He's him, I'm me. Like,
yeah,
I don't need to model anything from anyone. I mean, Jim Rohn taught me a long time ago that you can live one life and learn a lifetime of lessons, or you can, tap into personal development, read autobiographies, so on and so forth, and you can learn 1,000 lifetimes worth of lessons in one life.
Yeah.
So I just observe people that have skills or character traits or success in a way that I am intrigued by and think I could potentially pull some gems from.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, there's only one Kevin Jacobson Jr. I'm not trying to be anybody else.
Yes, and it is something admirable about you, and hence the reason I wanted to have you on here, is you are unapologetic on who you are, what you're really good at, that you've got an awesome marriage, that you grew up in a dumpster fire home in a lot of ways. I mean, you're very unapologetic of what has gotten you here. And sometimes I think we observe people that they just don't care what people think, and therefore they do the Kanye thing. Right? I mean, I get it's strategic, whatever, but
there's a lot of, so I don't use my unapologeticness.
Ooh, tell me more.
I don't use that as an excuse to be ignorant. Most people use it as an excuse to not grow. I use it as, these are the principles that these are the hills that I'll die on. Like, let's have fun with that. And if you can prove something to me, like, I'm open to everything. I'm always a student, never a master. There's only one master. But I know what I know until you prove to me. Like, I'm open to what's the alternative to what I know. And it's just is being open.
What is something that has surprised you that you have changed your mind on? What is a hill you thought you would die on that you will no longer die on because of what you've learned?
That you have to work hard to be successful. That's definitely one. That's a paradigm that I had to break. Yeah. And it's it's a lesson that actually keeps rearing its ugly head every couple of years for me, because I keep going back to, like, it comes from growing up in poverty and just like clawing to get out. Right. But like, I just have this like insatiable, but honestly, addiction to like hustling my ass off.
Hustle. Yes.
Yeah.
And what has been a key moment for you that has been the most effective at breaking that mindset?
Mastering delegation and leadership. And not saying that I'm a master at it, but setting the intention that I will master delegation and leadership. I remember Gary Vee a long time ago when I first started my entrepreneurial journey. He was like one of the people, they say that you're the product of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And when I first started my entrepreneurial journey, I only spent time with my wife and my son was only like 3. So technically I only spent time with one person. So I had bandwidth for 4 other people. Yeah. And so I just chose to turn off all notifications on my phone and follow the 4 people that I wanted to. Like, the beauty of social media, if you use it properly, is like,
Amen.
you can be friends with Tony
The
Robbins.
right people.
Like,
Yes.
you can sit on your phone and spend hours with Tony Robbins for free.
Right.
And you choose to doom scroll. Have fun.
That's why your life is different than your life. Yes.
Yeah, like, I don't know. If it's not fueling me, it's distracting me. So, like, if I'm not, even when I was, reluctantly back in a sales job after being an entrepreneur, which is like the ultimate like ego disaster and like, failure, right? I had to go back and get a job.
Yeah.
Even when I did that, I'm like, okay, I've paid for a bunch of courses. I've paid for coaching. I don't have any money right now. Where can I work that I can get paid to learn the skills that I would normally pay to learn?
Yeah.
I want to learn to sell high ticket. I'd been in sales for close to 20 years already, but I had never sold. I mean, I sold hot tubs over the phone when I was like 17 and stuff like that. But like, I'd never sold high ticket online, like in the sense that what we do here now. Right. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to get paid. I applied to work for Billie Jean. I was one of like 400 people that applied via email, made it into the top 25, flew out to his headquarters, took out 2 credit cards just to be able to get out there. Didn't have enough money to get back.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And made it into the top 25. It was a 5-day boot camp. I flew out. It was a 4-day boot camp. I made it to the final day, top 9. He was only hiring 5 people. Now, mind you, I have a wife and 3 kids and I live in Connecticut. He was, the deal was anybody he hired, he was going to relocate. It was going to cost like 15, 20 grand to relocate me and my wife and kids. He didn't hire me.
Wow.
But when I left, I'm like on the phone with my grandfather, like, I didn't get the job. Like, I made it to the final, like whatever, but I didn't get the job. I'm like, I can't afford my flight home.
Yeah.
And as I'm in the hotel lobby checking out and my card's getting declined, one of the guys that I had made friends with in the boot camp throughout those 4 days that lived locally stumbles into my hotel lobby. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing here? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? He's like, I was on my way home and then God told me like, go take a walk. Like, and he's like, now that I see you, I know why. He's like, it's been weighing on my heart that you were way better than I was. And I know the only reason I got the job is because I live right down the street. And he's like, so here's what I want to do something for you because like, I know what you're going through right now. And he's like, I'm not going to sleep tonight. He's like, I paid $10,000 to be in this guy Cole Gordon's program. And part of that program was they trained me as a high ticket closer and then they placed me in a high ticket role. And that's part of what I paid for is to be placed. He's like, I got the job with Billy. I don't need to be placed anymore. Here's the link, book a call with their team and just tell them that that you're taking my spot and they need to place you in my place. Right. So I did. I got home, I booked the call and they're like, how did you you're not even in our CRM. Where'd you get this link? And I told them the story and they're like, okay, we don't normally do this, but like if you made it into the top 9 for Billy, then we can find you a job. Right? Like that's enough for us to know that like you are qualified and you don't need to go like here's the training, you can go through it, but it sounds like you have what it takes regardless. And so they placed me, I started working for Matt DeCino, the owner of HL Pro Tools and ZappyChat. And that's how
my gosh.
When I left Matt after a year, I wanted to, it was great. I loved working for Matt, but I wanted to sell higher ticket and the highest ticket I was able to sell for him was 10K. I wanted to sell 30, 50, whatever. Right. And so that's how I met Joshua. He hired me and, our packages were like, 10, 20, 30. It started at 10.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if I didn't work for Matt, I wouldn't have known about the automation system that they had built out on Google Dialogflow, which was ZappyChat at the time, which was the alternative to the human appointment setters. And then I wouldn't have gotten into AI years before everybody else. And I like everything. Like God has a plan. You just have to like shut up and listen.
like down to the details, right? Down
Yeah.
to the card declining that delayed you, that made you be there, and calling your
Yeah.
grandpa and this
Look
guy.
at last week, my flight got delayed. And because of that, Jimmy and I got a hotel room together. We stayed for an extra day. I got Jimmy's client funded for 500 grand. I was able to help them take their production on those golf carts is out. Like, they're not able to produce the orders that they have already deposits on. They're not able to fulfill them until like July or August. I just got him funded. I hooked him up with one of my funding guy, got him $500,000 in 0% funding for that business. And now production is going to be cut in half. So they're going to be able to scale the business faster. That wouldn't have happened if my flight didn't get delayed.
Oh, Jimmy did not tell me this story. What is happening? What is happening? It was,
It just
and I was
happened the other day.
in the middle of the Uber watching you try to figure out your flight. Jimmy's like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot. We were all right there together. Yeah.
Yeah, we were in an Uber, and I'm like, this is going to work out.
I was so laser focused on being annoyed with my situation that I forgot.
No, you're good. Well, you had to solve it, right? You were there to solve it. Well, I appreciate all of the perspective that you've brought as far as like God's in control. God has a plan. You are going to be awful sometimes, and you are going to be rock bottom sometimes, right? And you have got to decide who you are and to keep moving. And I think that there are some mental barriers happening with people in general right now with the state of the world, right?
Well, everybody's wishy-washy. If I could put it as simply as I can, is like our attention span is less than a goldfish because of this crap now, right?
Yeah.
And everybody is allowing they're consumers, not producers, right? They spend so much of their time consuming content, consuming, we used to be, consumerism at its worst was purchasing things. Now consumerism is 1,000x because it's consuming things constantly, just this in your face all day long.
Right.
You have to take control of your mind. There's only one of two ways your life is going to go. Your mind is going to control you, or you're going to control your mind.
Right.
And you have to set the intention of where you want to go, right? It's no different than putting it, like, you put an address in your GPS. You don't, every time it tells you to take a right, second guess it and think, oh, well, maybe I'll take a left, and then rerouting. You're never going to get to your destination. Put your head down and do the work.
A lot of people don't know the destination, though.
Well, figure it out. You have to figure it out. That's like part of it, right? Like, if you don't know where you're going, then where are you going?
Yeah.
Like, that's like step one, right? And if you can't figure that out, then you have to figure out who you are and who you want to be, or who God put you here to be. Then that's step one.
And this is when I wish people could channel their inner Kevin, because I think that people want to apologize for who they want to be. They want to be big, or they want to be impactful, or they want to be, I mean, you know this, I want to retire my husband. You know that, right? Yeah. But do you know the decade it took for me to actually like verbally say that out loud to a group?
Do you know what I told my wife last night? We were on the couch, it was late at night, about ready to go to bed. And I was thinking about you. And it started with Brittany, but then I realized, I'm like, you know what one of the things I'm most grateful for the contribution that I can have, because I care equally as much, if not more, about giving than receiving. And so, and obviously, like, I just come to you, I'm like, hey, testimonial, by the way, I forgot. Like, you didn't even ask for it, right? So, and I just believe in reciprocity. I believe in tithing. I believe in, like, if you can, you should. So anyway, I told my wife last night, I said, you know what, I'm like, one of the things that I'm most grateful for about being in this community with all of you at Josh's is the impact that I'm able to have on people just by being there. I said, I've had conversations with you. We were walking down the stairs the last day of the event, and we were talking about how I think I have a couple referrals for you. And you were like, well, I'm glad that it's now rather than a few months ago, because I wasn't fully confident in like my process yet and everything. And then I was thinking about a conversation I had with Brittany, and then, the impact that I've had with my relationship with Jimmy. And, he's obviously reciprocated amazingly as well. We have an awesome friendship. And, I'm like, if I could put myself in Sarah's shoes, put myself in Brittany's shoes, put myself in Jimmy's shoes, I just want to be able to be in the driver's seat and like you have far more available to you than you think. And I think I told Heather, I was like, I think one of the things that you guys, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like when Josh was like, okay, now you have to charge 25K. And I feel like it becomes like this whole, like, it's like now you have to rebuild your confidence.
You don't have to rebuild the offer. You have to rebuild the confidence and the certainty.
Yep.
100%.
And I was like, what is it about me? Because Joshua was the same way. Joshua was freaking out when Josh told us we have to charge 25K. He's like, how? And I'm like, Josh, don't worry about it. I'm like, I'll do it. Like, I'll do it. I'll do the first one and then you'll see. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is it about me that has this just like absolute certainty where I just bypass, like, did I get like a lobotomy? Is like somebody stick something in my brain and like scoop that part out? Because when Josh told me charge 25K, I was like, yes, let's go. No part of me was like, how? What if people say no? Like, am I good enough? I don't know why. And honestly, like when I was in like middle school specifically, we were like, it was bad, right? Like we were we're the poorest white people pretty much in my town, like in my grade, right? So like,
yeah,
I think that I've been treated and like in certain times of my life, like so poorly consistently that I think that's where it comes from, is just like, I know my worth and I've had to fight to be treated even civil for a lot of years. So when I'm at a peak of like, I know like the value, like, the results I've been able to get from my clients, it's insane.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So like that certainty combined with like the crap that I had to go through for many, many years is like, I don't know, that switch is just, it's broken. Like that switch doesn't turn on.
Incredible. And so it makes me wonder, as far as, people who don't dare declare who they feel called to be or who they want to be because it feels too big, it feels vain, it feels, I think your message here on reciprocity matters a lot, because you cannot bring something to the table that you do not have, right?
Yeah.
And so that ability to bring a skill, right? The ability to bring certainty, the ability to bring kindness or confidence, like that, you have to be able to bring something there. And by being in an excuse victim mindset of, I'm playing small, I'm playing reverent, I'm playing, whatever words come to your mind, it stops you from helping other people. Like if that needs to be the vision, you can't give what you don't have.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny you said I'm playing small, I'm playing reverent. And in my mind, I'm like, that word it's not even in my vocabulary. Like, like I'm like, go big or go home, like irreverent, like actually the first shout out group that I created when I created a Instagram meme community. At its peak, it was like 180 meme accounts. And that's how I grew the e-commerce business. And everybody in there had at least 50,000 followers up to millions of followers. But the first group that, like the little shout out group that I created, was called VIP. And it was for very irreverent people.
Oh my gosh. Full circle, Kevin. Full circle, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. And I will tell you this too, hip hop was my stepfather growing up. And so there's a lot of like, in hip hop music in general, it's, come from nothing, turn nothing into something, and unapologetically, like, I'm going to make it by any means necessary type of mentality. So I'm grateful for that. And because I pick and choose the core values that I want and I'm not easily influenced, I only took the good things and didn't allow it to turn me into, like, there's a lot of negative things obviously in rap music, but I didn't allow that to have any influence on me.
Again, because you knew where you were going. And so you could take information and say, is this helpful to me or is this a distraction? And you could easily let it go. Whereas if we're just soaking in and accepting everything we see from social media, from conspiracy to whatever, like, you are going to drown. You are going to drown and you are going to become nothing.
I don't think I knew who I wanted to be, honestly, until I was like maybe 16, 17. And even then, maybe I don't even know who I want to be still now, because that could be ever changing. It's ever evolving,
Sure.
right?
As it
But
should.
I will say that the principles of success that I learned from Jim Rohn, the thing that saved me from being like, if you were to look at everybody that I spent my time with in my teenage years, I'm the only one doing what I'm doing. And I mean that like there's a large contrast. And the thing that saved me was my dad. I only saw my dad on Sundays, so he tried to cram in 4, 5, 6 hours a week's worth of parenting. And the best way that he could do that was by leveraging his time with me through other people. So he introduced me to Jim Rohn's personal development stuff.
Oh, interesting.
So he was able to parent me when he wasn't with me, because he knew that those principles are what he wanted to instill in me anyway.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
He's also a visionary.
Oh yeah. My dad was a pretty successful entrepreneur in my young age. And, he was in network marketing for a while. He had like 1,100 people in his downline. He would run like those, super masterminds in New England or whatever.
Incredible.
And, he had Jim Rohn, Les Brown come out and speak. He's got pictures on his Facebook of all of those guys that he got to meet at the events that he was hosting and invited them to come speak and stuff. So yeah, like, he definitely instilled certain direction in me when there wasn't any. I definitely wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for the direction that he gave me. And he was never like, you need to be an entrepreneur. He was like, be whatever you want, but here's the principles to become what you want.
Yes. Yes. And I love his courage to say, I wish I could have every day with Kevin. I wish I could. And I theoretically can't. And I legally can't. Yeah. So I am going to try and have as much as possible as I can.
We went to a Doobie Brothers concert together maybe about 6 months ago. We always go to classic rock concerts together. And as we're pulling up, we're like stuck in traffic waiting to get into the place or whatever. And he's like, hey, so good news. I just made my last payment on your child support. I'm like, I'm 40.
I'm 40. He kept
my mom isn't even alive anymore. Who's getting the money?
Oh my gosh. Oh my, he kept his word.
I'm like, is there like, can I recoup this loss? Like, I haven't gotten any of that money since I was 19 when I moved out. Technically, I haven't gotten any of it ever, but I'm like, where is it?
Where is it? Do you have
like, what is that thing where you like where you go to the government and it's like where like they say like you have money owed to you that's like just sitting in limbo or whatever? I'm like, can I do that?
Please tell me there's an answer to this.
No, there absolutely is not. That money is just gone. Somebody's got it. I don't know.
Someone has like been cashing in for 12 years or whatever. That's amazing.
It was going to the state because my mom was on the state. And so like is basically just recouping all like the food stamps and like medical assistance that I got up until I was like 21 or whatever. But
I say boo. I say boo to that for sure. Oh my word.
At least can I get an SBA or something? Like I could use a couple bucks. I'll throw it right into my marketing budget. Like I'll make it work for me. I don't need it, but I'll take it.
I'll be a great steward of this. Please just deposit it here. Right.
Yep.
Incredible.
I'll even tithe 10% of it.
I am so impressed, right? I am more impressed with you now than I was even 2 weeks ago when we were at the same event. And I feel like we've been so blessed by your optimism, your fun, all of those things. And so I have just a couple of, in traditional podcast format, a couple more questions for you just to help wrap up some of our conversation here. So the first one is centered around, I think about your family, right? I think about your wife, I think about your kids and how you've evolved as a person through God, through fatherhood and all those things. As you look at your own end of life experience, like you think of your grandma, and you're starting to see the White House and St. Peter and however that works out for you, what do you hope your wife says about you? And what do you hope your kids say about you?
Wow, interesting. See, because like it's been a philosophy of mine that I make decisions, like I reflect like I'm 80 and hustle like I'm 20 when I make decisions. Like if I say I'm going to do something, I set out to do it. And I like that's the philosophy behind it, but like I've never actually thought about what people will say about me, especially them when I'm gone. I think my wife will say that every day was an adventure and that we cherished every moment. Like we say I love you to each other probably like 10, 20 times a day. We make each other laugh as much as possible. Like I feel bad for people that go through life. I don't even mean not in a relationship as amazing as this, because I think it's very rare, but just people who go through life not enjoying every day and every moment as much as they can.
Yeah.
So I think that, and she didn't grow up that way, right? I brought that to her. So I think that she would say he made life exciting.
Oh, that's cool.
In every moment possible.
That's a legacy.
And I mean, my girls are about to be 6 on April 8th. In their current mind, like the way that they view me, I think that they would say that it's so annoying that dad knows everything, because my kids can't stand it. They're like, I'm not a know-it-all. Like, I just don't talk unless I know the answer. And I happen to know all the answers to all the things that you need to know so far in life. But I don't know.
I think that's
try
cool.
to be as fun as possible. And, you know, obviously, like, if you see me, this is my podcast studio, but what's behind the camera is my girl. Like, all the stuff that motivates me to be who I am and be the best version of myself.
Okay,
like, it's all right here.
Hold it up. I want a screenshot.
Like, this is my portrait Scarletta drew of me with my little hat. See?
I love this.
My hoodie. Yep.
That's a why. That's a why.
It's all right there. Can't miss it. It's a constant reminder of why I work as hard as I do and what the legacy I'm trying to build.
Yes. And if I had the opportunity, and even when I talk to people about you, I always come back to the idea that he is so kind. You are so inclusive. And that is so rare right now. I hope you recognize the impact that has, come heck or high water, right? The impact that your kindness has when you are in a room with people matters so much. Okay. So a couple of lighthearted questions.
Sure.
Number 1, what is something on your bucket list you have not done yet?
So it's not one specific thing, but I think I mentioned it during the mastermind last week. Is my goal is to be able to travel with my wife and my kids 1 week out of every month for the rest of our lives.
It's going to happen.
Work 3 weeks, travel 1 week, every year.
Yep.
52 weeks out of the year, 52 trips, 1 week every week. 1 week every month.
I love it.
That's it. Like that, you know, and that's one thing that, like, I will not stop. Like, that is the next goal, right? Like, and there'll probably be goals after that, but that's, you know, that's the North Star for me right now. Like, I want a life of 3/4 work, 1/4 not having to think about anything, not how much things cost, not how much, what's going on in the business, not where, you know, anything other than just being present for an entire week every month.
Yep.
Wherever that is, right? Whether it's Belize or Bali or, I don't know, a bunch of B places.
Yep. A bunch of B places. That's when you know you've arrived. I'm going to keep you accountable to that. I love that bucket list item. And then last question for you. What is a book that absolutely every single person should read that is not the Bible?
Yeah. A book that absolutely every person should read that is not the Bible. Couple Talk.
That is a new one. Couple Talk. Okay. We'll link it in the show.
Couple Talk. And I'm going to give you 2.
Yeah.
Man Leads.
Both brand new to me.
Man Leads. They, you know, similarly to like Tony Robbins, like wealth book, I forget the name of the book, but where he interviews, or even like Russell, where it's like the 30-30, right? Mm-hmm. Where he interviews a bunch of people that are successful. So Man Leads is this woman, I believe is the author. Oh, here it is. So this book, and, you know, interviewed 1,000 loving men share generations of wisdom on leadership, how they lead their families to success, how they enjoy lots of sex with their women, and how their women keep them happily devoted. So it is interviews with 1,000 different people around the world.
Incredible.
About the success of their marriage and the importance, especially in this day and age. I love strong women. My wife is a strong, independent woman. She does not need me for anything.
Yeah.
But she allows me to lead because that's the way God intended it. And I approach that from a place of gratitude, not a place of attitude.
Ooh, I love it.
And so like, this is, 1,000 different case studies that accumulated to, and it's a read that is like, it's like principles. Like it's not a book. It's hold each member of your family daily for at least 10 minutes, 2 pages of that. Communicate to the way your family understands and needs. Like
incredible.
I should read this again. Actually, it's been a while.
Oh,
my wife and I read it together. And that's also something I recommend. If you're going to read a book that's impactful to your relationship with a person, read it with that person.
Read it with them. Kevin, you are just as cool as I thought you were. That's what I'll say.
Thank you.
You're as cool as I thought. You're as cool as I thought you would be. I'm so grateful for your friendship. I'm grateful for your journey, your candor, all of those things. I'm so blessed to have you in my life. I am grateful for the impact you're having on your clients, integrity, in your marriage, with your kids, all of those things. You are a force to be reckoned with. So thank you again so much for this amazing time we had together today.
This has been amazing. Thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Unreasonable Autonomy podcast. If you loved this episode, my guests and I would love to hear about it. Go to the show notes to reach out and let me know what resonated with you or what topics or guests you want to hear in the future. I am here to create for you. Look, I deeply admire your commitment to pushing boundaries and going after an unreasonable life. Keep dreaming big, taking bold steps, and expecting the unreasonable. For more, go to the show notes to dive deeper into the conversations that will keep you going. Thanks for being here.